At the outset, I'd like to thank MENA Effie and MediaQuest for organizing such a wonderful thought leadership event. It's an honor to be opening this event, sharing my views on how technology is changing our society, our lives, our work, and really everything in between. Since the year 2000, when the dot-com bubble burst took place, technology has been radically transforming sociology. Technology is now considered a modern-day language, a new world order, if you will. And we're witnessing a paradigm shift from real-life human interactions to human-to-machine interactions. Take the meteoric rise of social media, for example, and how influencers have turned public opinion into the most powerful socio-political force globally. The fascinating part is that technology and algorithms, being the cornerstone of social media, are at the heart of this socio-political movement. I guess in the times we're living in today, the phrase "power to the people" can be used as a slogan for technology. So in this session, I'll walk you through a bunch of changes that technology has brought to our lives and to our interactions. I'll take you through the benefits that technology is providing, followed by some of the drawbacks. Just an overview before we get started. On the bright side, technology has indeed made our lives better and more fun. It has created stronger, easier, and faster connections between people. It enhanced knowledge transfer. It allowed greater accessibility to virtually everything. And today, there is a positive correlation between technology and the common good. Broadly speaking, technology has been positively affecting human life from the dawn of civilization by solving our everyday problems and facilitating our lives and livelihoods. But the digital revolution has brought a lot of paradoxes to our lives. The notion that connectivity may cause disconnection between people, so to speak. So while technology strengthened connections, it caused solitude. It facilitated life, but created new complexities. It helped us overcome some challenges, but produced biases in new ways. So the question we're really grappling with today is, with the rise of AI and machine learning, how do we continue advancing and gaining from the advantages of technology in communications and interactions, while simultaneously minimizing the negative impact of tech on society and business? So let's examine the digital world versus the real world in relation to communications. First things first, technology must be used as a force for greater good. A force to tackle some of our most pressing political, social, and environmental challenges. And it's really up to us to use it ethically and effectively, especially in a world of chaos, where the various tech applications can be extremely helpful to facilitate emergency response, to boost social activism, and to help humanity stand up for environmental justice. Many scientists today are relying on technology to create a carbon neutral future for us, since, as we all know, we don't yet have a planet B, right? And AI is also helping investors and risk managers to analyze ESG data and to make better investment decisions and invest as responsibly as possible. And in some cultures, there's now something called green funerals or eco-friendly dying. Imagine. Turns out that the cremation of the human body is a carbon-heavy process, releasing 400 kilograms of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So technology is being used to offer alternative ways of burial. Now let's consider gender bias in relation to health tech, for example. Famtech, or female technology, is an area of focus for us at the moment. The lack of market research and data is a major Famtech challenge today, preventing many female founders from raising venture capital funds. So how do we bridge the gender fundraising gap to overcome this Famtech challenge? Well, we're using our analytics technologies to provide dashboards with real-time data and mind maps that Famtech founders and investors can use to make more informed decisions. And by providing market data and insights through technology, we're offering a knowledge platform to address common mistakes Famtech founders make while pitching their startups, and ways in which they can adjust their pitches while, of course, remaining true to their vision. So through the use of deep tech and the data it generates, we want to make sure women eventually gain access to equal funding opportunities compared to men. Augmented reality, virtual influencers, the metaverse, Web3, NFTs, you name it. These are some of the hottest topics today. While they all have their merits, don't you think that people today are longing for personal connections as opposed to software, devices, or CGI-based characters, especially in the wake of the pandemic, which has kept us apart for years now? If you go on Instagram now and check Justin Bieber's page, he's promoting NFTs. Without his fame and reach, these NFTs would probably never see the light of day. Creating demand through promotion is the whole idea behind NFTs. Many brands have already started NFT projects and they're selling. And this year, many influencers, even on a smaller scale compared to Bieber, will start leveraging their influence to be part of the NFT craze. There's also a new type of emerging tech companies called NFT service providers. They provide end-to-end NFT services, including social media promotions, specifically through platforms like Twitter and Discord. The point is, without popularity and publicity, NFTs are basically dead art, assuming they're artistic in the first place, judging by Justin Bieber's NFTs. So this is also one way technology is propelling influencers forward and allowing them to heavily capitalize on their following to promote and sell NFTs. Now think of space tech and space tourism, for example. The UAE has been working hard to secure a front row seat in the global space race. The nation has enhanced its strategic assets and position within the space sector, including space exploration, space technologies, and their secondary applications here on Earth, from space tech companies contributing to the SDGs and enabling connectivity to those promoting responsible business and enhancing global security. All these technologies, like satellite communications, for example, will eventually change us, or are changing us, and will impact our interactions with one another even further. For businesses and employees, resilient technologies are essential to keep operations functional and businesses profitable during a major disruption or crisis, whether in remote or hybrid work environments. And this largely impacts the interactions between brands and consumers, as we've seen in the wake of COVID-19. Technology enabled us to become more flexible. Take the pandemic, for example, and how companies successfully pivoted in terms of their operations and offerings, and in terms of their processes. How many digitally native startups emerged, how work from home became commonplace, how learning from home prevailed. All this highlights the impact of tech on us and between us as brands and as people. We've become faster at everything, at both life and work. Technology has enabled us to become faster at interacting with one another, working remotely, banking remotely, and even dating remotely. Also, complex personal or work-related tasks can now be completed at a much faster pace. Look, we all lead busy lifestyles, and we all know that time is money. So the help of technology in time management is critical today. Also, think of the applications of AI for automated investing, for example, or social trading. It doesn't only save time, it also promotes inclusion for all, to allow everybody to actively participate more effectively in the global economy. In the past, it would have taken a long time to make contact with someone from the other side of the globe. Today, you can connect with virtually anyone from the comfort of your phone. So in addition to speed, technology has allowed us to gain greater accessibility to one another. Technology has also enhanced the quality of life. For senior citizens in particular, it has allowed quicker ways to communicate and stay in touch with loved ones, which is important for mental health and social bonding. And also, technology is allowing us all to live longer and healthier. Today, there is a sector called the longevity sector, or healthy aging, which is expected to be the largest and most sophisticated sector of all time. Technology enabled us to save money in our interactions. It's more cost-effective now to organize virtual sessions as opposed to physical events. Zoom, Teams, Skype, virtual event management platforms, and the list goes on. That's all great and efficient, but since it's almost free and easy, people tend to take it lightly. You would probably prepare more for a presentation you plan to deliver in a physical event like this as opposed to a webinar. So regardless of medium and cost, we should maintain the credibility of our communications by treating all interactions, whether physical or virtual, equally. At the end of the day, we are all creatures of comfort. Take the virtual travel booking agent, for example, or the live translation feature when you're traveling, for example, or self-driving cars. Think of drones and flying taxis. For those of us on the go, booking hotels and flights has never been easier. Studying marketing in college 20 years ago, I remember my lecturer saying, consumers are never fully aware of all alternatives when it comes to making a purchasing decision. Well, today, with technology and many real-time apps like Skyscanner and Booking.com, for example, we have instant access not only to virtually all alternatives, but also in real time. You've probably heard of brain-reading robots based on machine learning algorithms. When a robot arm and a brain-computer interface enable patients who can't move their upper or lower body parts to interact with the world around them. Also, artificial eyes for those with vision impairment are no longer science fiction today. So all these tech solutions and more are helping us all live more convenient lives. Technology has made it easier for us to identify opportunities and bring our ideas to life. Digitization has unlocked massive potential for SMEs, for example, which represent 96% of registered companies in the MENA region. SMEs are the backbone of the regional economy, and since they are mostly powered by tech today, tech becomes the lifeline of the regional business community. And with the rise of technology, with influencer marketing gaining more traction from PR and social media agencies, social media professionals, content creators, brand strategists, we will potentially start seeing perhaps new market entrants on all fronts and tougher competition moving forward. Perhaps we will soon see new tech-powered agencies and solutions, or perhaps new AI-driven social media platforms that would go mainstream this year or in the years to come. We've become more accurate in terms of reach and targeting throughout our campaigns. Ad tech companies that offer targeting algorithms or programmatic ads, of course, provided their targeting parameters are properly derived, these ad tech companies can actually enhance campaign reach, engagement, and conversion by serving ads more accurately based on user data, as we all know. Although not as accurate as we think, though, and hopefully we will achieve more precise targeting as tech and algorithms are refined, but this is still a great leap forward from mass advertising or the spray and pray model, which simply doesn't work. We've somehow become slaves to our own devices. Did you ever feel that social media addiction is holding you hostage somehow? That feeling of missing out when you're not connected. Research shows that excessive internet usage can get you addicted to technology, which may in turn lead to disrupted sleep. There's also gaming addiction and all sorts of tech addictions that are changing our behavior and affecting how we communicate. Technology is a social divider. Inevitably, it benefits those with access to its transformational power and leaves others behind based on their socioeconomic status. This creates tangible economic, social, and personal divides. Technology has a way to marginalize certain groups of people. Those without the means or the access will be disadvantaged, and these divides will only widen over time. These days, there is a growing pressure on brands and marketers and influencers to create more and more content in order to compete and succeed. Everything is making its way online, from academic papers to news and promotional material. This doesn't only lead to information overload, it also leads to quantity over quality. But the good thing about clutter is that it inspires creativity. The more creators and content out there, the more competitive it becomes to attain a share of voice. And so this creates an urge to become more creative with your content. And content creation tech today, like AI writers and wearables, is enhancing creativity. Technology is largely about information, hence the term IT, right? Politically, what we're witnessing today is partly misinformation warfare. In both politics and business, we've become more prone to fake news and negative propaganda. And many of us make daily decisions based on a Google search. So misinformation not only impacts decision-making of everyday consumers, but may also lead to dire consequences on the economy, on society, and on our planet. That's why Facebook back then set up the oversight board a couple of years ago to make independent decisions regarding content and deliberate over misleading claims to be able to determine their validity. The human body is designed to move, and that's how we lived in the past. Now we're becoming thicker as tech becomes slimmer. The convenience technology provided is chipping away at physical activity. So technology is doing most of the heavy lifting. The more we advance technologically, the more our daily lives demand less physical activity. Our lifestyles have become increasingly desk-bound, from sitting on our phones, watching our screens, and working from our computers. There's mounting medical research to prove that if we sit less and move more, we can attain many health benefits that improve the state of our minds and our bodies. Experts believe that the overuse of internet and technology may leave our kids brain dead. And this is not because this Google generation spends too much time online, which could be a good thing, by the way, digesting valuable information on a regular basis. But the problem is kids tend to stop making effort to think about things when everything is a Google search away. We see this phenomenon among us adults too. Googling an answer to a question is way easier than actually thinking about it. Copying a caption for your social media post is much easier than coming up with an original. Technology has brought the world closer together, but widened the distance between people, even those living under the same roof. We're sort of connected, but alone. Technology has somehow erected a barrier between people. And in the presence of this digital wall, we've somehow lost some of the human touch and interaction. Now, many people today prefer texting or emailing instead of calling or meeting. Many sit together in the same room with their heads bowed to their devices. Imagine the impact of this shift on parenting and child development. Technology has modified human behavior by creating a gap between people and by reducing intimacy. And with robots and AI rapidly replacing humans, the level of interaction between humans and machines is set to increase. And if you think about it, FaceTime actually means less FaceTime in the real world today. Our devices and the apps on them are so essential that in-person conversations are becoming rare. And this is somehow bad because in-person conversations are always more persuasive, richer, and more genuine. In-person also creates more harmony and builds rapport. Body language and tone of voice are important for interaction, but they can be lost in translation when communicating virtually. Research shows that oftentimes AI can be biased. Algorithmic bias is born when we often leave traces of our own human bias while creating AI. So this exposes many users to discrimination online, unfortunately. Technology also somehow mainstreamed hate speech and racism. And let's not forget cyberbullying. And all this, unfortunately, often turns into real-life violence. And big tech alone can't crack down on issues like hate speech. So this remains a major concern impacting many users, and there's a lot of work to be done to tackle issues of social injustice online and to also address internet-enabled oppression, which we often see in times of war and civil unrest. A recent survey by a US and a UK-based security firm revealed that nearly 40% of employees working from home adopt weak cybersecurity practices compared to those working from the office. So the omnipresence of technology made us susceptible to hackers as individuals and businesses, and even governments. Last year, governments saw nearly 2,000% increase in ransomware attacks globally. The healthcare industry alone suffered from nearly 800% increase in these attacks last year. Technology is blurring the lines between public and private data. Personal data is not being protected properly. US companies are paying 400% more in ransom payouts last year compared to the previous one. And many of us do not realize how much data we are willingly sharing and how much this data is worth. As you may know, the tracking technology of cookies is coming to an end next year. And with Web 3.0, websites will interact directly with one another, hopefully, and with users, eliminating the middlemen like Facebook and Google. What this does is it creates a decentralized online space where users maintain control over their data and interact directly with one another. Digital devices and platforms may distract students from their studies, distract children from family time, and adults from their social lives. Much of our time and attention is being stolen by technology today. Research shows that when you're distracted or when your attention shifts away from a task you're performing, it can take you up to 23 minutes to fully refocus on the task at hand. Distractions caused by tech can also lead to physical danger. For instance, distracted driving is a leading cause of road accidents involving both drivers and pedestrians. We've become less social, solitary in a sense. So how do we as a society progress outside of the virtual world? Distance has created a gap between people in various forms of relationships. Take couples, for example. Couples today spend less time talking and more time glued to their mobiles. Students spend less time interacting with their teachers and more time on their tablets. Children are being raised by tablets rather than by their parents. And the lack of direct and frequent engagement between parents and children often leads to disconnected children lacking in soft skills. Technology has changed the way children view and interact with others and with the world around them, which greatly transforms their development. And the diminishing levels of personal interactions between co-workers and within organizations often results in miscommunication and even sometimes misunderstandings. Now let's talk about the big shift from influencer marketing to influencer sales, so to speak. And this has been happening over the past few years across the board. Brands, influencers, and social media platforms are increasingly and aggressively monetizing content, which makes business sense, to be fair. Take the shopping integration into platforms like Instagram back in 2019, for example. I expect to see more of this, more social commerce powered by tech tools aimed at monetizing content in the years ahead. We've become less authentic in how we portray ourselves through technology and online. We've also become focused on aesthetics more than on our intellect somehow, especially in the influencer community. Our cultural ideals have changed. We've become more focused on what others think about us rather than on being happy and living the moment. Not being true to your authentic self can lead to anxiety, depression, frustration, addiction, and a lack of meaning and fulfillment in life. When it comes to the world of business, consumers are becoming smarter in identifying inauthentic content. That's where brands come in to ensure that their influencer marketing content isn't perceived as impersonal, generic, or commercial. We've become perfectionists and sometimes stressed out as a result of that. Studies show that perfectionistic tendencies may cause depression, anxiety, and stress. Seeing all the glossy, carefully staged posts of others, their lavish lifestyles, the Instagram image of influencers, all this online personas that do not really reflect reality may cause stress to others. It's well known that the influencer culture has an impact on mental health, from the fear of missing out to driving compulsive behavior and addictive consumption to the feeling of isolation, etc. Lastly, let's ask ourselves a simple question. Is technology really good for communications? Of course it is. It makes communications easier, faster, and more efficient. In business, it allows tracking, gathering insights, and improving the entire customer experience and journey. On a personal level, it enables excellent interpersonal connections. But we should not fall victim to the pitfalls of technology in our interactions. We should not forget to build personal relationships, and we should avoid turning brands into faceless entities. How hard is it today to get hold of a real person on the phone, for example, when calling up your bank or your service provider? Automation and virtual assistants are great, but there should always be a human element involved somewhere. For me, honestly, it's painful to speak to one of those virtual creatures on the phone. So yes, automation does serve communications. Digital interactions are indeed useful, but not a total replacement for in-person communications and connections. I strongly believe that we need to humanize tech in this new low-touch economy today. That's all from me. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day ahead.